Joining us now on the program, NewsNation political contributor and Princeton University political scientist, Dr. Lauren Wright. Dr. Wright, great to see you again. So as this legal battle over these deportations is playing out in court, what do you think is the political impact for Trump?
That's the impact that I pay attention to. And frankly, Trump's winning on this issue. Immigration is the issue where he has the highest public approval ratings right now, even as his overall rating starts to slip by a couple percentage points. Immigration, the public largely supports what he's doing in this area. And so I really do think the politics are relevant because these are campaign promises that he made. Most of the American public sees the urgency of getting these people out of the country that are not supposed to be here, and in many cases doing great harm in our communities. And so it's sort of a promises made, promises kept argument the Trump administration is making. And for most Americans, despite the thorny legal issues, they're not paying attention to those. They're paying attention to the criminal gang aspect of the story, and they're on Trump's side.
Yeah, they want to feel safe in their hometowns where they're living. It seems like the left is sort of championing and playing into the hands of the Trump administration in some ways, and that they're not just sort of backing TDA almost. It's noble what they're trying to do with First Amendment rights and due process and all that. But when they're sort of waving the flag for TDA and Mahmoud Khalil, who the Trump administration says is pro-Hamas, I mean, what does that say to the American people about priorities?
Well, this is sort of why Marco Rubio's messages and then his recent threat to Venezuela, if you don't keep taking these people, then we're revoking this majorly beneficial oil license to you, the Chevron license, and his speech about Khalil, because to many Americans, again, that aren't paying very close attention, it just makes common sense that you shouldn't be here temporarily or as a visitor or illegally, and either supporting terrorist organizations, sowing the seed of terrorism, or doing great damage to whatever community you're a part of. And again, I'm completely on the side of some of the legal analysts who have said, hey, they really should have the manifestos that are on these planes. They should have the manifest. They should have the information of where they're going and when. Those are simple questions, and there are issues with the implementation. But for the public, they're really on more of the Trump-Rubio side because it's the common sense argument. It really is.
Well, tough talking Tom Homan, our borders are telling ABC News yesterday that the administration isn't going to stop its deportation efforts. Listen to this.
We're not making this up. The Alien Enemies Act was actually a federal law. It's the statutes enacted by Congress and signed by a president. Now, that's under litigation. But put that aside, we still have Title VIII authority to remove illegal aliens from the United States, and we're going to continue to concentrate on those who are the biggest threat to our communities, the public safety threats.
And they kept pressing him on due process, due process. Shouldn't they have their day in court? And he said, what about the due process for Laken Riley? Of course, that's
Right.
The University of Georgia beautiful nursing student who went out for a run, lost her life at the hands of an illegal immigrant, Jose Ibarra. Homan went on to say he's not going to defy the court's orders, and the president has said the same thing. Are the concerns over a looming constitutional crisis justified, though?
I think constitutional crisis has always been overused when it comes to the Trump administration. And it's a shame because there are real constitutional issues at stake, and Democrats have not made specific claims. They've been shouting this over and over again since the last time Trump was in office. And so for a lot of Americans, and that's why the election turned out the way it did, it's fallen on deaf ears. Again, maybe there are issues at stake here that legal analysts have raised that we should be taking a look at. But for Americans, they just have no patience left. The message is the same, and they've decided they want to try something new, and they are giving the Trump administration tremendous leeway from a public opinion standpoint to implement the agenda that it promised.
All right, we will continue watching. Dr. Lauren Wright, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Anna.